What's going on, everybody in H-Town and Houston Rockets fans all over the world? Welcome to Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. My name is David Delano, and I'm sure you know some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. We just launched this channel about 2 weeks ago from today. We're growing fast, plan to continue to keep growing. We appreciate so far all the viewers, all the subscribers, and all the commenters. And if you want to be locked in with the Houston Rockets, not just today, but tomorrow, throughout this draft, throughout the rest of free agency, and hopefully talking about the 2026 World Champion Houston Rockets, go ahead and subscribe. That way you're locked in. Every time a video is dropped, you're notified. And also, drop a comment, what you like, what you don't like. This is a channel for you guys. Been reading each and every comment. Love the different trade scenarios. Love the different free agency ideas and what this roster needs to do to upgrade. So go ahead and keep those comments coming throughout the week, throughout the off season. We're going to go ahead and we're going to keep on getting into those different comments regarding the Houston Rockets. So first thing, obviously, slow news day, huh? I'm recording this a little bit before. I'm recording this before Game 7 of the NBA Finals, so depending on what happens in Game 7, we may touch on that tomorrow, later on in the week. But obviously, bigger story than the NBA Finals. Who cares about the NBA Finals? Kevin Durant is coming to H-Town, and I want to know those instant reactions. We've been talking about Kevin Durant almost daily, almost to the point where it's been a little bit repetitive, it could seem like. But when things like this happen, you see why. I threw out some crazy trade proposal. There have been a lot of crazy trade proposals out there. You guys have been dropping some really good, insightful trade ideas. And now, Saturday night, it sounded like they were saying with talks with the Spurs, talks with the Rockets, things were a little bit at a standstill. And next thing you know, Kevin Durant is a Houston Rocket. So this shows that the Phoenix Suns wanted to get things done sooner rather than later. Kevin Durant, all these trades are going to be not yet official, but that's just due to league rules to become official in July. But Kevin Durant headed to Houston in return. You always got to give up something to get something. Gave up Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the first round pick in this year's upcoming NBA draft, and 5 future second round picks. So we're going to go ahead and break that down just a little bit. First thing I want to know, how do you guys feel about a 37-year-old Kevin Durant coming to Houston? I know there definitely have been some mixed feelings about Durant, but obviously Kevin Durant, an upgrading talent. This team we talked about desperately needed three-point shooting improvements. Now Kevin Durant comes in as somebody who should be your top scorer, should elevate Şengün's play, Amin Thompson, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason. If Kevin Durant is healthy, this should make the whole team. It should make the whole team better. It really should. And Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them long term, but that also gives you some flexibility. After what we're probably thinking about 2 years with Kevin Durant, you've got an opportunity to really keep this thing going even beyond these next couple seasons. And as we talk about this, what is really going to be next now that Kevin Durant is coming to the Houston Rockets? And by that, gave up 5 second-round picks, only 1 first-round pick. He gave up Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. But, looking at those guys, Dillon Brooks, a guy that I like, you got to give him credit for the way that he plays. Helped really rebuild this culture here in Houston. Not to get all analytical, but it is what it is. In player efficiency ratings, I believe Kevin Durant was 27th. The only person higher than him was Şengün this season. Dillon Brooks was 300th. We had times, not really a scorer, tough player, role player. There are times just due to Jalen Green's inconsistency. Fred VanVleet being undersized, trying to take on a lot of young players on this team where Dillon Brooks had, at times, you tried to elevate with the scoring, but ultimately not a scorer. And you look at Jalen Green, you look at Dillon Brooks, game 7 this season. I mean, they combined to go 6 for 17 for 16 points, 0 for 5 for 3-point range. And that's not just one guy, that was combined. So Kevin Durant obviously elevates that. But as far as what's next, Fred VanVleet's going to be the next probably big, say probably, because you never know what could happen. But this is going to be the next big piece that needs to be addressed with this option. About a week to decide on that. If we're going to work out an extension, I think with Dillon Brooks gone, VanVleet's veteran leadership is definitely something that needs to stay on this roster. So got Steven Adams, Jeff Green, someone I'd like to see coming back. Because Kevin Durant, ultimately, that's one of the knocks on him as far as, is he a leader? He wants to just go out and ball. He's kind of a lead-by-example type guy. But still, new to Houston, new to this culture. It's probably going to be good to have somebody like VanVleet to come back. But I do think, and we had a great comment about this team needing possibly upgrade at point guard. There were some times where it really looked like it should probably be maybe VanVleet's last year starting as the Rockets point guard. Opens up the door now. Reed Shepherd, can he take that leap? 3rd pick overall. Is it time to take that leap? Cam Whitmore, 2 years now in the system. Someone, if he can continue to, or if he can improve that constant defensive effort, the door is open for him. Or, we'll see. And this could be something that goes into the trade deadline next year with Reed Shepherd, with Cam Whitmore. I definitely think that you go into camp with both of them. But if they're developing a little bit slower in a competitive NBA and a competitive Western Conference, do they possibly get traded along with some other pieces? Along with some other maybe first rounders, to bring another big piece to Houston? Or do you bring another big piece to Houston before the season starts? And also, when we're looking at what's next around the NBA, I think this is going to have a trickle-down effect in a lot of different areas. The Miami Heat were one of the names in contention for Kevin Durant. They didn't get Kevin Durant. They traded Jimmy Butler away. In the Eastern Conference, does Miami... they always, with that Heat culture, they're always trying to win, but you look at that roster, what's the future like for the Miami Heat? Do they trade some guys? Do they do some things that we're maybe not thinking about? Involving like Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo. The Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, LeBron James leaving the Lakers. It sounds crazy, but he's going to be 41 years old. The Rockets, mid-season, Rockets got Kevin Durant. He's been talking about the ring culture. Is that LeBron accepting that he just doesn't see himself winning another championship? How much does he have left in the tank? They've got Luka, they've got new ownership. It's hard to see the Lakers are gonna go for it. What do the Lakers do? They've got to elevate that roster. The Memphis Grizzlies. Now is this a full-out rebuild for the Grizzlies? They already traded Desmond Bane. Got a lot of picks in return. Was the future for Ja and the rest of the players over there in Memphis? What do they do? The Denver Nuggets. You got Jamal Murray. You got Nikola Jokic. What happens with Aaron Gordon in the future? There's a lot of really trickle-down effects. Teams are going to have to make some decisions as far as if they're going to improve and revamp their rosters or if they're going to be selling some big pieces. I think that we're going to see a lot of rumors getting crazy around the league. Luka, no one thought that Luka could get traded. And speaking of that, and speaking of the Dallas Mavericks, what do they do? Obviously, the future's bright for them, but getting, obviously you're going to get Cooper Flagg #1 with Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis. As far as them winning now, with Jason Kidd, does this open up? Do they think that they're in a rebuild process? Maybe they agree to let Jason Kidd interview with the Knicks. Point being, beyond the Rockets, I think that this is going to have a crazy trickle-down effect. Los Angeles Clippers, I don't take them serious, but what are they going to do next? There's a lot of teams in the NBA, according to, and now that Durant's coming to the Rockets, they're going to have to decide. They're going to have to go all in to try to catch, stay with the Rockets, catch up to Oklahoma City in the West, or are they going to do full rebuilds? I think that we're definitely going to see some young players getting moved. This is going to be a crazy offseason, and this is just the beginning of it. And we also have to ask, who really won this trade? Did the Rockets give up too much? I'm going to start off and say, no, I don't think that the Rockets gave up too much. First of all, I gave up 5 future second-round picks, not first-round picks. Now, that's beneficial to the Suns because you look at today's landscape of college basketball, and there's a lot of good players that are going to get picked in the second round. And I think that we're going to start to see more second-round picks that have some immediate impacts over first-round picks. Because these first-round picks, they're young. You're going off of a lot of potential. Now you got a lot of guys with 4, 5, even 6 years of college experience, 22, 23, 24 years old, and have been deemed a little undesirable in the first round that could be contributors in the second round and help the Suns rebuild their future. But when you look at the Rockets haven't even had a second round pick since 2018. So second round picks in H-Town, not really a thing. And when you look at before that, even 2017, the Rockets had a couple second round picks, and they were good. Isaiah Hartenstein and Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks got traded off to Memphis. So in hindsight, how many teams, how many years later those turned out to be good second round picks? So ultimately, even when you do hit on second round picks, a lot of times, talking 4, 5, 6, 7 years later, and they're with 2 or 3 or 4 different teams later, they've bounced around. So the odds that those second round picks would help the Rockets, not really a thing. And like I said, I mean, Dillon Brooks, veteran leadership, but him and Jalen Green, if you're looking at the immediate future, I think getting Kevin Durant is an upgrade. And I think the Rockets won this trade, unless, of course, Kevin Durant gets injured. Kevin Durant's got to stay healthy. Kevin Durant has to show that his defense is still that he's not going to have a drastic decline, defensively. But when he adds offensively, I think this makes Şengün better. I think this really makes this whole entire roster better. And when we talk about Van Fleet as stars, sometimes you're trying to, because Şengün, as good as he is, still a post player. Sometimes you want to have those guys on the perimeter that can get those big buckets. With Jalen Green being so inconsistent last season, Dillon Brooks not really a scorer. I think a lot of times we saw Van Fleet try to take games over, take some difficult shots. Now Kevin Durant can ease that load, and we could probably see Fred. We can see. Sorry. we can see Kevin Durant take those big shots, help out Fred Van Fleet a little bit, and we can see Fred Van Fleet have a more productive, more efficient season. Because losing 5 second-round picks for a franchise that really never has second-round picks, hate to say they don't matter, but they're second-round picks, not first-round picks. Giving up number 10 this season. We talked about some of the options at number 10. This was probably going to be a 2 to 3 year project, looking at who the Rockets would get at number 10. So I think this is definitely a win for the Rockets as long as KD stays healthy. And this is a win for Kevin Durant as well, because this gives him a chance for his legacy. I know he doesn't care, but for someone who doesn't care, he's got time to comment. Feel free to leave any comments for us as well, KD. But this really gives him a chance to get another championship, get another 2 championships. Then all of a sudden it gets interesting with his legacy, in LeBron. And I know things can change very, very quickly. Things can change very, very quickly. Even looking back at Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant. Obviously now it sounds crazy to compare the legacies, but there was a period in time there. Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, even Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon. Jordan retires, Hakeem gets 2 rings, but then Jordan comes back and gets 3 more. But at this point, Kevin Durant can elevate the Rockets, get a chip, get 2 chips. It really gets interesting with Kevin Durant, where you start to hold him in that all-time conversation. Now, if Kevin Durant doesn't deliver, if the Rockets regress and somehow you're 6th or 7th seed in the West and you lose in the first round and Durant's injured, and then next thing you know, he wants out again, he's complaining, that's a knock on his legacy. So it could go really both ways, but for Kevin Durant to have an opportunity to still get at least another championship, I think Kevin Durant's a winner in this situation. Houston Rockets are a winner in this situation. And when you look at also at the Phoenix Suns, I think that there's going to, and I'll talk about as far as what's next, I think this has definitely got to be an all-out rebuild in Phoenix, because I think that Devin Booker is a piece that we're going to see moved. Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal in Phoenix, I don't see it. So I think that Devin Booker is going to get moved as well. The Suns, this lets them completely rebuild the roster. They've got those second-round picks. Probably get some more first-round picks for Booker and really package some things up to stack their future as well, because they really depleted a lot of their future with some of the moves that they made to get Durant and to get Bradley Beal. Now this gives them a chance to go ahead and rebuild that roster. And as far as for Jalen Green, it's going to be interesting for him to see what happens. Obviously, right now, as far as we'll see what happens with his career, because I want to see what's going to happen with that Phoenix Suns roster. I don't see Jalen Green, Bradley Beal really being the best fit. I can actually see, Bradley Beal's presence on the roster holding Jalen back a little bit, and Bradley Beal got that no-trade clause, only player other than LeBron having no-trade clause. Maybe this gets him to waive it. Maybe this gets the Suns to be able to see if somebody will take a salary dump. So there's going to be a lot of things to talk about or just around the Western Conference. If Devin Booker, who I think is going to get shopped, hey, that's one of those deals out there for those different contenders who are trying to catch up with OKC and keep up with the Rockets. And as we talk about the last thing here, and we've touched on some of these teams, how does this affect the 2026 championship odds? According to FanDuel, right before Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and right after this trade was announced, right now you got the Thunder as the favorite at plus 230. It means a $100 wager gets you $230 of profit. Oklahoma City Thunder, according to FanDuel, favorites to win the 2026 championship. Now tied at number 2, plus 900. Cleveland Cavaliers and the Houston Rockets, both at plus 900. You got the Knicks there, Pacers, Timberwolves, and let's just look at the Western Conference in order of odds. You got the Thunder, the Rockets, and you got the Timberwolves, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Spurs, the Mavericks, and the Grizzlies. And it's going to get really, really interesting, because out of all those teams I named, they got to decide what they're going to do. When we talked about the Clippers, expected to pick up James Harden's contract, work out an extension. What are the Clippers going to do? Kawhi aging, even though he played well in the playoffs. Nuggets, it's really going to be a trickle-down effect. Who do you think is the biggest threat outside of the Rockets? Who's the biggest threat to take down Oklahoma City? Obviously, the odds makers have got the Rockets and OKC as the top two teams still. Right now, distant second behind OKC in the odds, but Lakers, Nuggets, I think that they still got to go for it. What's going to happen? This is going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about, as a lot of teams may just throw in the short-term towel, and a lot of teams may be willing to mortgage off more of those assets. And as we look at it, Rockets still have a lot of assets. Gave up a first-rounder and 5 future second-rounders. Do you do a little bit more? Do you get a little crazier out here? What about Devin Booker? What about Giannis? Are those guys still on the table? Talked about Zach LaVine. We'll see. It's going to be exciting. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe. Let me know your comments for today. Initial reactions. Who won the trade short term? I don't... Look, I think it's the Rockets, but everybody's got a right to their opinion, and I respect it. What do you think is going to be next? Let me know some crazy things. What's next for the Rockets? We talked about upgrade at point guard. What do you think about that? Other options? Still, be nice to add some more shooting. Not going to be as high profile as Kevin Durant, but still be nice to get some extra shooters on this roster. So let me know as far as that, other guys that you think that we should go after. Any predictions with Van Fleet? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm David Delano. This is Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. Let's have a great day.